Thank you for watching this video. For weekly bonus videos, hundreds of Blender training videos, and early access to series, join my YouTube channel by clicking the join button or use the link in the description. Well, now that I've got this creature sculpted, I need to go through and retopologize it. And I got a question on YouTube not too long ago that basically asked, why go through all of this? Why sculpt a character or an object like this in 3D and then go through the pain and time of retopologizing it? And it's a good question. Why not just edge model it, box model it the way we have in the past? Why go through this extended process? And the answer that I came up with, and I don't know if it's fully satisfactory, is control. I think with this process, you just have more control over how the character looks down to its smallest detail. And then in the retopology, you have more control over the placement of edges and the polyflow so that when you're animating, the animation can be more believable. When it deforms like it actually has bone and muscle underneath. If you have good polyflow around the shoulders, the hips, the knees, on the face, the character just deforms so much more believably, so much more realistically. Even if you're dealing with a fantasy character or creature like this, you still want that believability. So I think my answer is control. Yes, it takes a little longer, but I think the more you do it, the quicker it gets, just like anything else. And I think for me, I understand edge flow for an animated character a lot better now because I've been retopologizing and because I have that control. And as an example, for this particular character, I had a hard time dealing with the polyflow going from the chest up into the arms. And I really wanted to get it right. And I could. Here, using retopology, I could try it again and again, and I could get it right. Whereas when I was creating characters with edge modeling and box modeling, I don't know that I necessarily always got it correct, always got it just right. There were times just because you're fighting the 3D model to try and get something, it's difficult to get the polyflow just right. And what do I mean by just right? I mean that the edge flow of the face, the shoulders, the hips, etc., follows the basic muscle structure of a real creature, of a real person or animal or whatever. And the closer you can get that edge flow to following or simulating the actual muscle structure underneath, the better it's going to deform. So it was just an interesting question, I thought, and really got me thinking about why I'm doing this and why we all do it, why it's grown to be such a popular way of creating characters for animation and for games. And I think, to me, the answer, as I said, is control. But I think at the beginning of digital sculpting, when we first began doing this, back, I guess, when ZBrush first came out, I think we were doing it because it was cool, because we could get a ridiculous amount of detail in the sculpt. But then, of course, once we did that, we had to figure out how to reduce the poly count so that we could use the model just anywhere, like a game or trying to animate it or anything. Because like this character here, this creature is about 8 million triangles. And trying to rig and then animate a character, at least on my computer, with 8 million polygons, it just isn't going to work. That's just too much. And then if you're going to take this into a video game where poly count is so much more important, that's, once again, just way too much. So I think retopology began as a way to get these cool characters or these cool things into a video game or to be animatable. And I think once we began doing that, we began really examining, well, what does this polyflow need to be? I can control now where these edges are going to go. Where should these edges go? How should they be structured so that this character can really animate or deform in a believable way? And if you look at early 3D characters, like from Toy Story or Ants, these characters are very tubular. They're relatively simple because they were being built with edge modeling, polygon by polygon. So you didn't have the opportunity to provide as much detail as you do now. And I mean, if you take a look at a character from Toy Story and then a modern video game, even video games that aren't that modern, like going back to Arkham Asylum or The Last of Us, you've just got so much more detail in the characters, and you can do that with sculpting. So it's allowed us to just push the art form a bit. And of course, it depends on what kind of character you're creating. If what you want is a very kind of cartoony, tubular type of character, yes, edge modeling, box modeling works great. But if you're really going to try and get a very detailed character, like an orc from Lord of the Rings, or a very realistic character, I think sculpting and retopology is really kind of your only way to do it. And artists and viewers are just expecting so much more now because of it. So I guess my point is it's worth giving it a try. It's worth having this process in your toolkit. So there you go. I never really planned on going on a rant about that, but I think it's a good question. I think it's interesting to think about. And if you haven't tried sculpting and retopology in Blender, I would suggest giving it a shot. I'm working on a Blender course now that's going over this, and I'm also doing a game character series here on YouTube as well. Please take a look at that, and maybe it's a process you might be interested in. Well, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.